Elizabeth informs Portia about Finn's drinking. Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel General Hospital Update. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. All products and services featured are independently chosen by editors. However, Soaps.com may receive a commission on orders placed through its retail links, and the retailer may receive certain auditable data for accounting purposes. General Hospital spoilers, July 8 to 12. At the hospital, Portia runs into Liz by the elevator. Portia is headed to Willow's party and asks if she's coming. Liz says she's not in a party mood. Portia has some good news and reveals Finn's cutting his bereavement leave short and coming back tomorrow. Liz says they need to speak in private. Now, Starmer defends Biden's leadership after Zelensky blunder. They go to Portia's office, and Liz says Finn is still drinking, and the situation has escalated. She has no choice but to speak out if he's coming back to see patients. She also says she ended her relationship with Finn because of his drinking. She cries that he's spiraling and could be a danger to his patients. She explains that Finn claims he was never an alcoholic, that he was a drug addict, and he can handle his drinking. However, she found him with a bottle of tequila and a woman in his apartment. She says he then lashed out in anger, and his attitude may affect his patients. She is also concerned about Violet. Liz explains that she went to check on Finn earlier, that he was clearly hungover, and that he had forgotten that he had plans with Violet. She was hoping Portia could convince him to go to rehab. Portia calls that one option. Portia assures Liz that she's here for her, and she did the right thing for the hospital and their patients. Liz just hopes she did the right thing for Finn. Michael leads a blindfolded Willow into the Metro Court pool area, takes her blindfold off, and everyone claps and wishes her a happy birthday. Gio runs into Joss, and they chat. Gio doesn't know Willow well yet but says his Aunt Lois insisted he get out and have fun. She says at least they aren't having to work. Gio notes if she and Trina move in, then they can carpool to work. Joss hasn't talked to Michael yet about the apartment, and Willow's party isn't the time. Gio is hoping they'll soon be neighbors, and they toast to it. Nina interrupts Drew as he's talking to Chase and BLQ. She claims it's Crimson business. She pulls him aside and says it's time for him to do his thing. Drew walks over to Michael Willow and says Nina didn't know there was a surprise party, but she came to see him, and he was wondering if it's okay if she sticks around. Michael says it's Willow's party, so if she wants her to stay, that's fine. Willow approaches Nina and invites her to stay. Nina thanks her and wishes her a happy birthday. Willow thanks her. Cody tells Chase he's sorry to hear about his dad. Chase thanks him and says he is grateful for all the time he had with him. Sasha approaches Nina having heard Willow asked her to stay. Nina says she did, and she didn't go overboard with her reactions, and she's chalking this up to a win. Sasha says Willow has a good heart, and if she doesn't push, Nina says she's trying not to. Carly talks to Michael about Nina being here. Michael says Willow invited her, and no matter how much he wants to protect Willow, he won't try to control her life again. Carly confronts Drew, saying Michael says he went back for Nina. He admits he did. She asks why he would do anything for that woman. He says he hasn't forgiven Nina, and never will, but he needs to let go of his anger. Plus, he needs Nina. Drew explains Nina keeps Crimson making money, and she introduced him to the congressman. Carly asks what Nina gets out of this. Drew says he has asked Nina to help Willow with her new role as a spokesperson. Carly tells him not to push Willow and Nina together. Drew says he would never do that, and this is about Willow. Curtis talks to Nina and is glad she's helping him roll out the Aurora Wellness Division. Curtis asks if she is really okay working with Drew. She says they are both grown-ups and in positions to help one another. She explains they've reached an agreement, and Willow's new position gives her contact with her daughter. She says she can put up with Drew as long as Willow can put up with her. She just wants to be part of her life and has no agenda. He urges her to hang in there and reminds her that things for him and Trina were rough at first. Willow pulls Chase aside to tell him how sorry she is about his father and asks how he is doing. He says he's still dealing with his grief. She reminds him that his last day was spent celebrating his family and him, and she hugs him. She tells him he was the first man she really ever loved, and Chase says in the end, they both ended up where they were meant to be. Brooklyn thanks Carly for having Gio work at the pool this summer and gushes about his talent. Gio says his cousin can go a little overboard. After Gio walks off, Carly says she never hears about Gio's parents. Brooklyn says it's a sad story. Gio's dad died in the war, and his mom was a violinist and died when he was 10. She explains he was raised by the whole family. Drew tells Curtis and Michael that he decides to run, and he's really going to need their support at Aurora. Michael says this explains why a judge called about Drew changing his name. Drew explains the Quartermaine name has a strong pull and a connection to philanthropy. But Curtis says it also suggests privilege. He says that's what he's getting ahead of that. He's going to make it known he doesn't need money or donations, and he is focused on helping the people. Willow takes a moment to ask Sasha about her new job and also advises her not to let Tracy boss her around. Sasha loves her job, and seeing Cody every day is a plus. Portia arrives and tells Curtis she got hung up on a work thing. He tells her how excited he is for this new wellness venture to take off. Later, Michael tells Willow that Drew is running, and she is thrilled. He also says he's changing his name to Quartermaine. She's glad he's stepping up for the people. Cody speaks with Sasha and says his conversation with Chase about his dad got him thinking. Cody says Mac is a good guy, and unlike Chase's dad, he's still here. He wonders if he's wasting time that he'll one day wish he could have back. Sasha thinks he already knows the answer. A cake is brought out, and everyone sings happy birthday to Willow. She blows her candle out and makes a wish. She's pushed to make a speech, and she thanks everyone for coming. But she thinks it's Drew who has an announcement to make. Drew says this wasn't how he planned to do this, but he is running for Congress. They applaud him. He says there is too much division and greed in politics, and he wants to remind everyone that when they all prosper, they all win. He then turns the attention back to Willow and says he's proud she's a part of this family. Willow says the best present they can give her is to vote for Drew. Alexis drops by Finn's place, and he's been drinking. Alexis says she hasn't seen him around and reminds him of their 2 meetings a day plan. He claims he got busy. Alexis asks if Violet is here, and he says she is sleeping. Alexis wants to check on her as she's worried Violet could be listening. He insists she's asleep, but she checks anyway. Finn pours himself another drink while Alexis checks on Violet. When Alexis returns, she thanks him for being upfront about drinking and not trying to hide it. She assumes he's been drinking since his dad died. Finn says he just reconciled with his dad after so long and now has lost him again. So who wouldn't drink? She says an alcoholic would try not to. He says he is one, that he's a drug addict, and he hasn't taken pills or put needles in his arms. She says he is still an addict, but he says he's not an alcoholic. That is her thing. He says he quit alcohol out of caution, and he found he didn't need it. She says he's sure making up for it now. He snaps he's tired of the snarky judgments from people telling him how to live his life, which he assumes is why she's here. Alexis says she's been where he is, and he's making excuses for his drinking. He says he's just numbing his pain. She informs him that he's also numbing the part of him that makes people want to love him. Finn says that people should leave him alone. Alexis says Chase is grieving too, and maybe they should grieve together. Finn says his loss is not Chase's loss, and his loss is what he has to deal with. Alexis tells him that he knows only he can stop his drinking, and only he can ask for help. Finn says when he needs help, he'll ask for it. She suspects he doesn't mean that. Finn accuses her of projecting her own issues on him. Alexis says maybe so, but when she was in a freefall, she wasn't the sole parent of a little girl. He asks if he's saying he's a bad father. She says he's a wonderful father, but when he's drunk, he is what is standing before her. He tells her that Violet is his world, so she asks him to go to rehab. She says to do it for Violet, as she's standing behind him and has heard everything. He looks and she says, "Made you look." Alexis asks him to think about if Violet had heard what he's been saying. Finn thinks it's time for her to go. Alexis says it's time for him to go to rehab. He needs 90 days to get sober. Finn says he won't leave Violet as she just lost her grandfather. Alexis says she's going to lose her father too, and she's trapped in a house with a drunk. Finn orders her to get out. Alexis calls him out for being a mean drunk, and the wonderful man she knows is in there somewhere, and he'll have to live with the consequences of what he's choosing. She cries, "Call me when you hit rock bottom. It will be sooner than you think." After Alexis leaves, Finn gets back to his glass, but seems to pause on drinking it. On the next General Hospital, Sasha asks Cody, "What's stopping you?" Anna tells Valentin, "I'm just wondering if this is wise." Scott is with Lucy, looking at his phone, and exclaims, "I think I just found something that may work." At the warehouse, Cates announces, "You are finally a free man." Carly lashes out at Sam. "Why did you make such a big damn deal about having a baby with him?" Jason tells someone, "He's framing you." Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel.